Good afternoon and good morning. A very warm welcome to everyone to the session on Air Quality Improvement Program in the greater Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region. My name is Sujata Gupta. I'm the Director for Sustainable Infrastructure for East Asia, and I will be your moderator for this session. We have a scene-setting presentation followed by three presentations, three very interesting presentations, and we have two eminent panelists who will introduce themselves and comment on the topic and the presentations. So roughly, the presentations will be for 10 minutes each, and the panelists will have their remarks for 5 minutes. After that, we have a good half an hour at least for questions from the audience. When the audience, you ask the questions, please identify yourself, and if please let me know if you would like a particular panelist or a presenter to respond to your question. So with this, I'd like to introduce Mr. Atsumasa Sakai, or Atsu, who is the scene setter for this session. Atsu is the Senior Energy Specialist in the East Asia Department at the Asian Development Bank. And he implements a wide range of projects from smart low carbon district heating in the People's Republic of China to developing one of the largest battery storage projects in Mongolia. So the district heating project in Qingdao aims to promote low carbon heating supply infrastructure. And the project in Mongolia, the battery storage project, will actually help to tap the country's renewable energy potential, thereby improving air quality in urban areas. So over to you, Atsu.
Okay, so thanks, Chair, and good morning, everybody, and also the good afternoon and good evening, everybody. So it is my honor to provide a scene-setting talk here. And my name is Atsu, a Senior Energy Specialist of ADB. So this year's Asian Clean Energy Forum aims to focus more on the development frontline. So it's been over 10 years since the approval of ADB's Energy Policy 2009. The development circumstances have changed quickly last 10 years. For example, more private sector has joined the renewable energy development. We have observed that more emerging technologies like batteries and also operational practices like auction pricing have been in place. Among all, as the development member countries' economic growth, their development challenges have got more complicated. And some look beyond what a single sector development can tackle with. In order to adapt the development approach to such a changing circumstances, international financiers like ADB need to reset our mindset and develop corresponding development approaches. ADB's energy sector investments need to shift from an emphasis on traditional energy supply to focus more on value-added activities that meet its strategy 2030 operational priorities. These could include food security, sustainable cities, and poverty reduction, and gender empowerment. So how can we more effectively address the changing development challenges? One of our answers is today's agenda, multi-sector approaches to clean energy development, or what we call Energy Plus Plus approach. As a last session under this track 2, today's session will present the case studies in China to tackle with air pollution problem. Environmental pollution is a common challenge for developing member countries when their economic growth. ADB has supported China's effort under its air quality improvement program in the greater Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region last 5 years. Today, we have three distinguished presenters, and they will share their lessons learned from the project. We can learn how cross-sectoral approach would maximize the benefit, how a variety of financial products can be effectively combined. We can learn how to assess the project benefit, like the daily reduced coal consumption, thanks to the state-of-the-art monitoring software. Lastly, we can learn how the multi-sectoral approach would maximize the benefit of district cooling infrastructure. After the session, I hope we have some clear direction of future development approach of clean energy. So I'm now excited to listen to this presentation, and all back to you, Sujata. Thank you.
So it's my pleasure to introduce our first presenter for this session. I would like to introduce Mr. Liu Mingbai, who is the Executive Director for the Project Management Office of the ADB Air Quality Improvement in the Greater BTH, or the Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region, China National Investment Guarantee Corporation's Green Financing Platform project. Mr. Liu has majored in law and has over 15 years of practice in green finance and SME finance. He has a very thorough understanding of ESCO business and green financing and will present some excuse me, cases from this project. So over to you, Mr. Liu.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Liu Mingbai from China National Investment and Guarantee Corporation. We call it ING. Today is my great honor to have this opportunity to have an introduce of our project. And today I would like to share with everyone the tailored financial service to support green and sustainable development, ING's Green Finance Platform project. And there are 6 parts of my presentation. At first, I would like to talk about something about my company. And ING is China's first and up to now the largest guarantee company with an age of 27. It has a long-term credit rating of AAA. It is also the president institution of China Financing Guarantee Association and a member of the world's top 3 guarantee and credit insurance associations, such as PASA and ASISA. And ING has have been practicing in guarantee industry for many, many years. After years of development, ING has built business framework with credit enhancement, asset management, and fintech business as 3 critical parts. And ING has long been practicing the concept of green development and is experienced in low carbon financial sector. During 2003 to 2009, ING cooperated with World Bank and conducted the WBGEF Energy Conservation Promotion Project Phase 2 ESCO Loan Guarantee Program. More specifically, ING has implemented 148 EMC guarantee projects with a total guarantee value of 516 million Chinese yuan, saving 590,000 TCE per year and reducing carbon emission by 380,000 million other tons per year. This project's exciting effect is highly recognized by World Bank and provides a reference to the developing countries for using the World Bank loans. In 2017, IMG initiated ADB-funded air quality improvement in the Great BTH region, IMG's green finance platform, the GFP project. It can be seen as an innovation way to utilizing foreign capital jointly designed by the government and press and international financial institutions. We will dive into the project details in the next part. And this is the launch ceremony of the GFP project. Okay, let's move on to the project profile. As you can see from the picture, the GFP project uses the financial intermediation loan FRI modality to establish a green financing platform through which various financial instruments are introduced and applied to mobilize domestic financing and scale up investment to air quality improvements in the Great BTH region. The GFP project has a total amount of 458 million euros and a term of 15 years. So this is our expectation of this GFP. The GFP project endeavors to contribute to air quality improvement, establish a sustainable green financing platform, facilitate the construction of SME's credit system, and give full play to the leverage effect of ADB loans. The targeted sectors of GFP project include clean energy, energy saving and emission reduction, green transportation, and waste to energy. It aims to provide better access to finance for sub-projects located in Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, Henan, Shandong, Shanxi, Liaoning, and Inner Mongolia. And basically, there are 4 methods that we can use in our GFP that guarantee and interest loans, equity investment, and other credit enhancement methods. As I mentioned before, the total amount of ADB loan is 458 million euros. So there is an allocation of the total structure. I would like to have an introduction of the progress of our project. So by the end of last year, 331.47 million euros have been withdrawn by IMG, accounting for 72% of the total. The GFP project has granted 2.18 billion Chinese yuan to 36 sub-projects and provided 484 million Chinese yuan of guarantee to 2 sub-projects, leveraging more than 5.51 billion Chinese yuan of co-financing. So in regional distribution, 9 sub-projects are in Beijing, 5 in Hebei and Henan respectively, 2 in Tianjin, Henan, Inner Mongolia respectively, and 13 in Shandong. The above sub-projects covered comprehensively all the 4 targeted sectors. So after completion, these sub-projects are expected to reduce consumption of many coals and gasoline. That is figures and numbers as listed on the screen. And these are some achievements and that we have got. So in our project, there are some highlights. I would like to say that the first one is that we have many measures to the so-called tailored services. And the first one, we have financial leasing. So one of the main features that distinguishes the GFP project from other projects is that it can provide tailored products for different financial demands at different levels. So the benefits for this financial leasing is expanding the scope of support and catering the specific needs of targeted customers, extending the depth of sub-projects implementation, and facilitating the sub-projects sustainable development. Sorry, the computer has some problem, and I would like to continue the financial leasing part. So at the end of the 2019, the GFP project has granted 700 million Chinese yuan to the sub-borrowers through three financial leasing companies. And the second part is the guarantee. The GFP project has played a leverage role by setting a guarantee loss reserve. And of course, this is ING's main business, and it has rich experiences and powerful brand influences in guarantee business. This is the two sewage disposal sub-projects supported by our ABS product that has a credit enhancement by ING. And the third part is supporting to the development and capacity building of green SMEs. In our GFP, we have a small part or individual part for the support of SMEs and ESCOs. And this slide is the co-finance with Huaxia Bank. And of course, we also have co-finance arrangement with Bank of Beijing, especially for the SMEs. And apart from commercial banks, ING also has developed close partnership with provincial and regional guarantee companies to leverage more co-financing. And as this charging station is cooperated with a local guarantee company in Beijing Fengtai district. And we have a lot of seminars and training courses for the SMEs. Okay, and these are sample projects, and this one is straw biomass utilization. If without this project, the straw will usually be burned, and with our project, the straw is used as fertilizers. And this is waste to energy plant sub-project. And after all these projects, we have learned a lot of lessons. The team, I think, is the most useful part of this project. Yes, and we also provide, we call it customized or tailored support financial services to all these clients. And every counterparts in our sub-project are promoted, including local financial institutions and ING, this company, and all the members and of the PMO are also trained, of course, including all the staffs or employees of our clients. Thank you.
Thank you, Mingbai. It's really unfortunate that we could not see the second part of your presentation, but I can assure our audience that these presentations will be available. And actually, Investment and Guarantee Corporation, ING, has done excellent work for, has made an excellent contribution for reducing the pollution in the greater BTH region. And they have some very, very interesting products. And of course, we will share the presentation and you will get more details on this. They are able to leverage almost 1:4 of co-financing with ADB's loan amount. So thank you very much. And apologies to everyone for the slight technical glitch. But we will make out by sharing the presentation. Let's move on to our next presenter. Our next presenter is Ms. Wenjing Jin. She is an environmental engineer at the Chinese Research Academy, Environmental Sciences, and she's working on compiling an emissions inventory and especially adept at research related to black carbon emissions. In her presentation today, she will be presenting switch to clean energy from coal in rural households and what are the benefits of air quality, to air quality. So Ms. Jin will discuss some interesting results based on her research on clean energy substitution implemented in recent years in North China. Her research establishes a mathematical model between ambient temperature index and daily consumption of coal, highlighting the positive and effective contribution of clean energy substitution. So over to you, Ms. Jin.
Yes, can anybody share my screen? There we go.
Yes, I have shared the screen.
Okay, so it seems we are having an issue with Wenjing's presentation. So in the interest of time, let's move to our third presentation while we're able to get Wenjing's presentation up. And it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Pen Ang. He's a world-renowned expert in energy technologies and clean transport policies. He founded ICET in California and Beijing to promote policy changes for low carbon development and for a sustainable future. Prior to establishing ICET, Dr. An served in several national and international institutions in various capacities, including USAID, US Department of Energy's Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratories and Argonne National Laboratory, and the University of California. In the past decades, he has advised governments across the world, including China, US, the European Union, Mexico, Brazil, India, and Thailand on automotive fuel efficiency policies. Dr. An has an MS from Tsinghua University and a PhD from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. In his presentation, he will discuss designing a city-scale, climate-friendly, energy-efficient cooling initiative to reduce GHG emissions and to improve energy efficiency in the refrigeration and cooling, but this he would be doing at a city-wide level for the city of Ningbo. So over to you, Dr. An.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you. Can you hear me? So, good afternoon, and it's good evening in California. So my topic is building a climate-friendly cooling sector through energy efficiency improvement, a case study for the city of Ningbo. First, I'd like to talk about the background of this project, which gives the background information about the cooling in China in general and Ningbo in particular. Then I talk about this ADB project we are currently undertaking, and then I talk about the survey study we have conducted. Then I draw the conclusion. Why targeting cooling? So the HFC is mostly widely used in the current cooling as the refrigerant. It has a very high global warming potential, which is thousands times of the CO2 equivalent. And its global annual emission growth rate currently is about 10 to 15%. And it could reach 20% of global total greenhouse gas emission in 2050 if current trend continues. And in addition, most of cooling are powered by fossil fuel power plants, which contribute additional 10% of carbon emissions. And also during the cooling also contributes the largest peak load during the very hot and warm weathers. So that's why the cooling sector is extremely important if we want to reduce the global greenhouse gas emissions. And in China, over 15% of the national electricity use, and it's contribute to cooling sectors with 20% annual growth rate. And the cooling loads during the summertime, 60% of the summer peak load is come from the cooling power consumptions. And energy saving potential is very large. It's up to 50% for major refrigeration and cooling systems. So in China, Chinese government has paid a great attention for the problem associated with the cooling sector. So in the last year, June 2019, China announced the Green and High Energy Efficiency Cooling Action Plan. And so there's a key targets is by 2022, the cooling products household air conditioning efficiency level should be improved over 30%. And the market share of green and high energy efficient cooling products should be by 20%, and the electricity saving up to 100 billion kilowatt hour. By 2030, the cooling efficiency of large-scale public buildings should be up by 30%, and average cooling efficiency improve over 25%. And the high market share of green and high energy efficient cooling products should be up by 40%. So the goal is to save electricity up to 400 billion kilowatt hour. Why we target the city of Ningbo? So the Ningbo city is at the heart of the Yangtze Delta River region. Actually, it's the city next to Shanghai, and it have a very hot and humid summer weather, and it has the largest seaport. Actually, it's the world's largest seaport, deep water seaport, and it has the huge, product centers which have 250,000 tons of refrigeration handling capacity, and 97% of the fossil fuel being used for the power generations. So the electricity price is also highest in China. So in the city of Ningbo, 50% of the cooling come from industrial sectors, and 22% from a commercial sector, and 13 from the public sector, and 15 from residential, and the remaining sectors. So we have actually conducted some initial surveys for the city of Ningbo. So here's some key findings. Many cooling systems are over 15 to 20 years old, some even 20 plus years old. The efficiency level of old system is 1/3 below the national level 1 cooling efficiency standards. And a significant number of cooling systems use high GWP refrigerants, which is have 500 to 1,000 greenhouse gas warming potential compared with CO2. And over 80% of Ningbo's cooling system are owned by small and medium enterprise, lacking access to financing or face high borrowing cost. So we are currently under the support of ADB TA projects to conduct the projects called Developing a Climate-Friendly Cooling Sector through Market and Financing Innovations. So the overall goal is to assist Ningbo in designing a city-scale climate-friendly energy-efficient cooling initiative to capture multi-sector opportunities in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving energy efficiency related to cooling sector. So key tasks are the following. One is to review cooling-related policies in China, also around the world, so identify policy gaps. Second is to assess cooling-related technologies and applications. Then to design viable business model and innovative financing mechanisms that would allow Ningbo to carry out and finance a large-scale cooling initiative. Finally, we are also going to design the prototype design on Internet Plus, which is Internet based like IOC, Internet of IoT, the platform for cooling applications. So this slide shows kind of an overall strategy of maximizing cooling opportunities in cities. And first to engage Internet Plus cooling, which is to maximizing efficiency of resources, to maximize the resources allocation. Then the efficient cooling deployment and the comprehensive resource utilizations and the climate-friendly refrigerants and promote renewables. So we will cover commercial, public, and the residential sectors. So we are actually in the process to conduct a very massive, large-scale user survey in city of Ningbo. So our goal is to conduct 3 batches of user survey with a plan of collecting information from over 1,000 facilities to have a landscape understanding about the city's cooling sector and to build a project database for a citywide early replacement program. So we have completed the first round of survey responses. Actually, we have completed the second round. So so far we have collect over 200 facilities of various types, ranging from manufacturing, food processing, cold storage, and ice making facility, and all hotels and conference centers, government facilities, transportation hubs, and all all different kinds. And so one example is the energy efficiency assessment case study for Jinguang Mall shopping mall, which is one of the largest shopping mall in the city of Ningbo. So throughout we brought the engineers and experts, specialists, energy specialists to conduct surveys. We walk through all the facilities. So we have identified 5 major problems which can be improved. The first is the inefficient air-cooled heat pump units. And which include the phase 1 and 2 has separate cooling system, which is very inefficient. Also very high peak load and inefficient air AC fans and chilled water pumps operated in mixed frequency and the lack of group control. So for each measures, we listed the energy efficient action plans to solve those problems being identified. We estimate the cost saving for each action, we listed, which range from 500,000 renminbi all the way down. So it's pretty significant cost savings, and the total payback time is range from 2 years to 6 years. So this is the kind of we give kind of diagnosis to these shopping centers. So throughout this process, since we are in the kind of in the very early stage of this project, so the project will finish by end of this year if everything is on schedule, because we have this COVID-19 situation. So the timeline may be delayed, but our original schedule is to finish the project by end of next year. And so the overall goal is to help Ningbo to design a city-scale climate-friendly energy-efficient cooling mechanism. And the specific goals include assessing cooling-related policies and technologies, as well as designing viable business models and innovative financing mechanisms that would allow Ningbo to carry out and finance a large-scale cooling initiatives. The project will also explore extended opportunities beyond the cooling energy efficiency retrofits, including the renewable energy, comprehensive use of resources, cooling as a flexible grid resources, digitalization to transform cooling sectors, and low to zero carbon transportation derived from cooling logistics. And we will also enable green cooling to become a part of the new economy, which is knowledge, internet plus, and digital economies. And so basically what we are trying to do is to build a scalable model transferable to other Asian countries and other emerging markets. So this concludes my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. An. Very interesting presentation. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. I have a few myself, but I think we've resolved the technical issues with Ms. Wenjing's presentation. So we are ready to move on to our next presentation. Over to you, Wenjing.
Now, can you guys hear me? Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Wenjing Jin from Chinese Research Academy Environmental Sciences, CRIS. CRIS, in affiliation with the Ministry of Ecology and the Environment of China. Its mission is to provide technical and scientific support for government decision-making. My topic today is just switch to clean energy from coal in rural household benefits for air quality, which is really interesting from our team research. Next, please. As we all remember those hot days several years ago in winter China, such bad days drove people crazy at that time. The PM2.5 concentrations even reached 697 micrograms per cubic meter, which has gone far off the charts. However, at that time, we noticed that pollutant concentration highly coincided with heating season, implying that the special role of coal heating for the air quality in winter. Next, please. Next slide, please. So we were thinking about that there might be some connection between. Then we did a survey in Baoding and Beijing. The results shows that the roll call and the briquettes consumption is incredibly massive. Here are some photos we took along the survey. Now that we confirm that heavy pollution weather is highly coincident with the heating season, although people know the annual consumption of heating coal in a region through typical village investigations, people don't know how to allot the annual total to each day. Hence, it makes the dynamic impact of rural coal on air quality difficult to be assessed. So, method to dynamically present daily coal consumption becomes necessary. Next, please. Fortunately, we have a great chance to do researches from various perspectives thanks to a project under the National Key Research Development Program. This provides us a chance to know more details about the coal consumption and the clean energy substitution. It is the first time that we have the ability to dynamically quantify the emission from rural heating coal day by day. Next, please. In this program, we did an interesting job in Tangshan. Firstly, we got the ability to get the real-time meteorological data, geographical information, and set up our equipment in one representative household. The automatic coal consumption recording and real-time signal transmission system is actually a scale, which is for weighing coal with a real-time signal transmission item. It has gotten a patent in China now. When people add coal from this basket to the stove, the changes in weight will be automatically recorded and displayed on terminal computer in Beijing. This is the basic theory. Next, please. An algorithm for dynamic coal consumption is established, as you can see in the picture. On the right-hand side figure, TCOM is composite temperature, which integrates ambient temperature, relative humidity, wind speed, and sunshine hours together. WDay is just the daily consumption of coal. We can see the WDay and TCOM exhibit contrasting variations. On the right-hand side, a scatter plot for WDay and TCOM is created in a linear mode, where a negative correlation is easily observed. Next, please. Based on the above method, we can also provide time profiles of coal consumption in discrepant cities for modeling. This figure just shows time profiles of 2+26 cities in the heating season of 2018 to 2019. We used the time profile to run the model for the following two scenarios. Next, please. Realistic scenario is the effect of substitution by the end of 2018. Future scenario is plain area 100%, where mountain area 50% substituted. Meteorological condition just the same as 2018. The model we used the third generation of CHEMEX model, which is international with regional air quality grade. Let me show you a series of numbers. By the end of 2018, about 8.6 million households in 2+26 cities has realized the substitution of coal with clean energy, of which about 65% were from coal to gas and 35% from coal to electricity. from 53 million tons in 2015 to 31 million tons in 2018, about 40% reduction. Next, please. The left figure shows the concentration of PM 2.5 under the three scenarios along the whole heating season from 2018 to 19. It proves that the more thorough switch to clean energy, the more significant improvement in air quality. The right-hand side figure shows the relationship between real decrease of PM 2.5 and decrease of core per unit area. Next, please. The potential of air quality improvement by using clean energy in the future is not the same, vary from region to region. This figure just shows the simulation results of the realistic scenario in 2018 and the future scenario. Compare these two areas with greater potential. Others have less potential for future improvement. The potential for future improvement is affected by the replacement potential of coal and local topography and meteorological conditions. For example, Beijing has basically completed the replacement in all districts by the end of 2018. So the potential for future improvements is not that much. By the end of, next please, 2018, 2 plus 26 cities clean energy alternatives in all cities had effectively reduced the PM 2.5 concentrations in heating season. For the average of 2 plus 26 cities, the reduction is about 15%. If target substitution is achieved, the total reduction can be up to 30%. According to the average of PM 2.5 in 2 plus 26 cities, when clean energy alternatives are considered alone in 2018, numbers of fun days up and heavy pollution days down are listed in the bottom right table. Thank you all for listening to my speech. If anyone has any questions, welcome to email me to discuss and exchange ideas. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. And I think our technical support cracked a way to present your slides as well as have you speak. So thanks to everyone. And now we move on to our panelists who will comment on the three presentations and also present their ideas. So I move on to our first panelist, Ms. Yun Zhu. She's the Senior Environment Specialist in the Sustainable Infrastructure Division of East Asia with the Asian Development Bank. And since joining ADB in 2015, she has been working on environmental safeguards, due diligence of new and ongoing projects, mainly in the energy and transport sectors. Prior to joining ADB, she worked at the Research Academy of Environmental Sciences and the Appraisal Center for Environment and Engineering for more than 20 years. Yun received her doctoral degree in environmental science from Beijing Normal University and a master's degree in environmental studies from the University of Newcastle, Australia. So over to you, Yun, for your observations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sujata, for your introduction. And good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks to the three presenters for your excellent presentation. As we all know, environment degradation has become a huge challenge, along with the rapid economic development in China, especially the worsening air quality in northern China. Wenjing just introduced the government's actions on air pollution control. So ADB joined the government's efforts in air pollution control and reduction through a number of technical assistance and landing projects. In 2015, ADB approved a multi-year landing program from 2015 to 2020, aiming at reinforcing the Chinese government's action on air quality improvement in the greater Beijing-Tianjin-Hebei region, which contributes to almost 1/3 of China's GDP and is also the worst, the most polluted region in China. So under this program, ADB has approved 5 projects. The first project supported policy reforms and strengthening of regulatory capacity of Hebei province. Mr. Liu Mingbai just introduced the second project, which is to provide better access to finance, especially for small and medium enterprises to scale up investments in air pollution reduction projects. So the second loan has been implementing very successfully due to its contribution to pollution reduction and climate change mitigation. The project was selected as one of the 30 best practices of nature-based solution by the 2019 United Nations Climate Action Summit. And it has set a good example to ADB's developing member countries to better implement the 2030 United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development. The project was also awarded the 2018 Best Performing Project by ADB. So our third project focuses on deployment of advanced technologies to reduce emissions from large emitters in energy, transport, urban sectors and industry sectors. So the fourth loan will help Shandong province shift to a more efficient heating and cooling by integrating a range of clean and renewable energy sources. So 80,000 rural households will be supported to replace coal by other means of clean heating source. Last year's loan targeted acceleration of switching from coal to cleaner fuels in household, commercial, and industrial users in Henan province. This year, ADB is going to provide additional financing to scale up the second loan, the green financing platform. So, because there is a great potential for energy efficiency improvement, especially in southern China, the geographical coverage of this year's additional financing will be expanded to Yangtze River Delta. So we hope through the TA that Dr. Feng An just introduced can help identify potential projects in cooling sector that ADB can support through this additional financing to improve the energy efficiency in cooling sector. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mingbai, ING, and Feng An for your team, for your excellent work for the projects. Thank you. That's all from me. Back to you, Sujata.
Thank you, Yun. And now we move to our second panelist, Dr. Meng Fan. Senior Research Fellow and Deputy Chief Engineer of the Chinese Academy of Environmental Sciences. He was the director of the Institute of Atmospheric Environment, Chief Scientist of Energy and Environment Division, and the director of the Research Department of the 2+26 cities in Beijing, Tianjin-Hebei, of the Chinese Academy of Environmental Sciences. He has carried out in-depth research in the field of air pollution control, policy and planning, synergistic control of air pollution and climate change, air quality modeling, boundary layer meteorology, and atmospheric chemistry. Wow, sounds really good. So over to you, Dr. Fan. Okay, we seem to be having yet another technical glitch. So let's use this time and see if we can use this for questions. So I would like to see if let me take this opportunity first to ask my question, which I've been really wanting to ask Dr. An. Dr. An, thank you very much. Your presentation was very interesting. I was wondering, what is the normal life of a cooling system? You said most of these are like 25 years old, but how long do normally cooling systems last? And I have a second question, which I'll say now so that you can speak. You mentioned viable business models and some innovative financing. Can you share with us a couple of examples of these business models and innovative financing? So over to you, Dr. An.
Thank you. You know, the lifetime of the system varies. I think I think it could be up to 30 years, but 30 to 35 years. But for 25 years, old system is really old system because it's designed by in the 17th and the 80s. So it's not up to the standards. So that's why the retrofits is a very important the option for if you cannot replace the system, you have to go use the retrofit the old inefficient system. But so that's I like to talk to my I'm not an expert in the this space, but but the potential can be very large. For the innovative financing, I think like I mentioned, over 80% of the cooling enterprise are small and SMEs, and so they have they don't have access to the financing low cost financing mechanism they would like to have. So I think one way we would think about to bundle this all the small and SMEs together to help them to apply for a bigger financial package like ESCO company. So we can establish like super financing, super ESCO company, which under that umbrella, the smaller we can help the smaller SMEs can apply the energy efficiency loans. I think we have engaged many banks in not just SOEs, also several of the medium-sized, the local city-owned or the provincial owned or even some private owned banks, they are willing to engage the financing mechanism. So in the process, that's why we are designing a system, financing system that will allow the small and medium-sized companies can apply the loans which they could not do so if they do that individually. I think that's something that's a very key design principle. The other way we talk about the Internet Plus, because how to a lot of the factories owners they do not have whole capacity to use their system. There are a lot of empty trucks, empty storage space. So using the APP, Internet Plus platform, so we can, they can at least offer their cooling service. So to maximize the usage. That's one way, to improve the efficiency. That's why we think this is also very important mechanism.
Thank you very much. Very interesting, and I think one advantage of this panel could be that we can put you in touch with ING, and ING can help you with the finance.
Exactly, we should. Yes, yeah, I'm very impressed.
I think we clearly got a synergy out of this panel, and very interesting. So what I really was good about your presentation for me was, it was very, it was a concrete assessment, because you were clearly indicating the payback period for the various interventions. And these seem to be reasonably medium term, like they were around 4 to 5 years. So clearly, I'm sure this would interest Mr. Liu and ING to consider investments. So do you want to come in here at this point?
Yes.
Do you have any comments, Mingbai?
We are very interested in the cooling system actually, and in additional financing of the platform. Yes, we have such kind of just as I have mentioned just now, that we have an active investment of our the whole project. So if there's some, we call it new project or new company that is our interest, yes.
We should invite you next time to Ningbo to join our panel and our workshops. next time we will make sure to get engaged.
Yeah, we are looking forward to having such opportunity.
So very good. And Mingbai, since you have the mic right now, and during your presentation, we started facing the technical issues. Do you want to elaborate a little bit? So you lost some time because of the technical problems. So do you want to take a couple of minutes to explain one of your interventions or something that was of importance and you could not discuss during your presentation?
Yes, thank you. What I want to mention again is that our platform is purported to have a sustainable target and to provide financial services to different clients and at different demand, especially for green SMEs and ESCOs. And if to some new developing companies that need some investment, for example, we will have active investment. But for a growing or grown up, we call it medium-sized companies, only if it has a very good sub-project and all criteria have been met, we will have a interest loans or provide guarantee for its green bond or any financial products. And for all this have very big products, we also can provide specific products or services to this demand. And we are considering will provide very detailed or specific amount and terms of all the repayment or instrument designs for each project. That is our advantage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We seem to have lost Dr. Meng Fan, but let me go to a question that we have from our audience. This question is for ADB and for Yun Zhu regarding ADB's projects to improve air quality. Now, from the first, I'm reading the question. From the first presenter's presentation, SMEs lack financial investment in introducing energy efficient measures or clean energy to replace their conventional old technologies. Can you please elaborate on best practices or lessons learned from the implementation of the BTH or other projects targeting green technology interventions in SMEs in the case of China? So over to you, Yun.
Thank you, Sujata, for the question. Actually, ING has done a few very interesting projects targeting the deployment of green technology, especially for SMEs. Last year in 2019, ADB organized a media tour to visit two projects under ING's green financing platform. These two projects are to use agricultural waste to produce, one is to produce biochar fertilizer to reduce the air pollution from burning of the agricultural waste. And at the same time, the income of the farmers oh, sorry, I was unmuted just now. Thank you, Sujata, for your question. Under ING's project, they have done a few very interesting projects. Last year, ADB organized a video media tour to two project sites. One of the project is to use agricultural waste to produce biochar fertilizer so that the agricultural waste won't be burned and the air pollution from the burning of agricultural waste can be avoided. And at the same time, the farmers' income can be increased. So this is very interesting, and this project actually can be shared. Oh, okay. So the experience of this sub-project can be shared with other ADB developing member countries, such as India and Indonesia. We also visited another sub-project site, which is to use the old stock of corn to make ethanol. And the ethanol will be blended into gasoline to reduce the use of the gasoline. So all these projects are very interesting and innovative projects. So which has helped greatly of the income of the local farmers and also to reduce the pollution from burning of these waste.
So thank you, Yun. And since we are on the topic of BTH, so Wenjing, we will come back to you, but there seems to be another question in the audience, which is not addressed to anyone in particular, but it says, what other countries could apply the approaches of BTH? So let me ask the panel if anybody would like to respond to that, or I can respond after the panel has had a go at it. Yoon, would you like to respond, please?
Yes, I think the financial intermediary modality, loan modality, is a very good modality that can be applied to other countries, because under this modality, we can support like SMEs or small enterprises who have the difficulties to get commercial financing. Especially for those small enterprises with the focus of pollution reduction, pollution reduction. So I think using this FI modality, it is a very good mean to get the SMEs involved in green technologies and energy efficiency, pollution reduction projects.
Thank you, Yoon. And if I may add to what Yoon said, this BTH project is financial intermediation, but along with financial financing, it also helps to build the capacity of the SMEs. So in terms of adopting environmentally safe practices and procedures, and therefore, partnering like with somebody like ING, where ING develops its own internal capacity, and then they are able to disseminate this to all the other, to the sub-projects to which they are lending. Also, the financial intermediation modality, as Yoon pointed out, is very important when we are dealing with small and medium scale enterprises, and hence is applicable to any country which is facing an issue. So the importance of small and medium enterprises in any economy is very high, and they have similar issues in terms of lacking. They know what they're doing well, but they're not able to access finance. They don't know the state-of-the-art interventions that they can gain access to. So knowledge sharing, capacity building, in addition to financing, is a requirement. So to answer the question, where can BTH-like project be used? It can be used anywhere where there are small and medium scale enterprises. And of course, any economic activity, and with growth in an economy, the pollution intensity of the industry increases. And hence, to tackle this, we need to give additional support, but for it to be sustainable, we have to also build capacity and transfer knowledge. So let me go back to the panel and ask if anybody would like to add. Dr. An, would you like to add to this? You have so many years of experience on policy. Please unmute your mic.
My expert is mostly in the transportation, the vehicle control. I think I think the vehicle emissions contribute about 1/3 of the emissions, like PM 2.5. I think what the BTH has done is to have very aggressive vehicle control policies to retire the high polluting old vehicles, and to very aggressively impose the advanced emission standards, which borrowed from Europe and also from US. I think all other metropolitan in the other big metropolitan regions in other countries. I've been to have been to Bangkok, I've been to Delhi in India. I've been to Manila. I saw the huge pollution problem. I think a lot of them is from motor vehicles. I think there are a lot of ways can dramatically reduce the emissions from diesel trucks, from passenger gasoline cars. I think that's the huge potential to tap in. I think China has been doing great in that regard.
And I would like to add also, like ING through the ADB loan is also supporting, vehicle leasing companies. So to be able to, use electric vehicles or to buy electric vehicles. So again, I think when the size of operation is small, then we do need a financial intermediary to transfer the resources, both knowledge, capacity, as well as financial. Wenjing, thank you also for your very, very interesting presentation. And we do need somebody to keep track of actually what's happening to all the emissions for us. They say what gets measured gets monitored. And so it's very important, the work that you're doing. I had a question when I saw your presentation. You have two scenarios. You have the real and the future, the realistic and the future scenario. Can you, and there seem to be a lot of difference between the future and the realistic scenario. So can you please elaborate on the two scenarios and explain what's causing the difference? Over to you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Actually, we have three scenarios: one future, one realistic, one non-substituted scenario. For the non-substitute, it must be the scenario before the substitution policy has been implemented. The realistic scenario is just the realistic, like last years we did the replacement in the 2+26 cities. So as you can see in the picture that I show you, the PM 2.5 concentration has been reduced a little. For the future, we are thinking that there must be replaced 100% for all these 2+2 cities, especially the plain area. But for the mountain area, there must be some difficulties to do this replacement. So we predict it as 50% replaced. That's the three scenarios we did.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me also ask my colleague Atsu if he would like to ask a question from this panel or share his views. Atsu, over to you.
Okay, yes, thanks, Sujata, for the opportunity. Yes, because the BTH project is really a big as well as a complicated project. So therefore, in my view, the success of the project is really rely on the implementation arrangement. I mean, how to manage a big project. So in that sense, the executive agency as well as implement agency's role is quite huge. So therefore, I'm curious how the agencies have managed this kind of big and complicated project to head for such a success. So possibly this question might be for the Mr. Minbai or the Young. Yeah, appreciate it.
Minbai, over to you. Better you answer the question. How does ING manage such complicated project?
It seems as if now Minbai is frozen. He would be the right person to answer it as the executive director of the project management office. Minbai? No. maybe we will, once we get him back online, we will repeat the question. But we have some good news. Dr. Meng Fang is back on audio. And Dr. Fan, you heard most of the presentations, I think. Would you like to share your views now? Over to you, if you can hear us and join us. Yes, please go ahead. Okay, so I think we don't have, but we, Dr. Fan back on, but Mingbai, you're there. And the question, I don't know if you heard it, but Atsu was asking, how do you manage such a large and complicated project where you have so many sub-projects to manage? So can you please tell our audience how you're managing this very large project? You're on mute. Mingbai, you're on mute. Mingbai, you're muted. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay.
How do you manage a large
I cannot
project?
hear anything.
Can you hear now? Can you hear me? Okay, I think he cannot. Let me try. So this is, you know, the first time we do this virtually with people virtually all over the world. So since we can hear you, Mingbai, let me type the question in our chat box. How do you manage a large project? Or
what's the size of a large project?
We are talking about the BTH project, ADB's BTH project.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We are talking about the BTH.
就说你们的项目这么大，你们是怎么样管理的？
Project manage is a very complicated problem, and sorry I can't hear you, but it's lucky that all you can hear me. So for each project, including large or small project, just as I have mentioned, we are specific tailored service to each project, and for each project we have a very long and detailed process of accepting and approve and assessing and approval procedure for each project, including a large project and a small project. Of course, if the company approves the sub-project and the ADB also approves this sub-project, we will give loans or guarantee to this project. And after that, we call it into a operation procedure until the end of this project. And if, for example, the client or sub-borrower pays back the money. And under the requirement of the project that we need to interview or to site visit the project from time to time. For example, once in half a year or once in a year, that we And if it needs any construction of a project, we need to visit the project and make sure that the construction goes smoothly or successfully. If any problem or questions, we will give a very quick response or reply to this project. And if for any problems or any failure of project of the repayment, we will quickly make a plan or design to the sub-borrower to solve any possible problems. That is generally how we to manage a project and solve the problems. Thank you.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. I have a question from the audience for Dr. Feng An on cooling and transport in Ningbo. So, however, this question is more related, I think, to the transport sector. It says in developing countries, second-hand car is widely used and is polluting. What was China's best case or experience in addressing these issues from a policy perspective? This question is coming from a consultant on TA for knowledge sharing on strengthening of action plans on air quality. And the consultant would also like to conduct knowledge visits to countries and cities where there have been successful practices in terms of policy, technology, and investment. So, Dr. Ang, the person, they have not said who they are other than saying consultant, is asking what was China's experience in addressing policies related to second-hand car usage. Over to you, Dr. An.
Yeah, thank you. I think in some large cities like Beijing and Shanghai, let's take Beijing as one example. It has a very aggressive program just to scrap, kind of retire the old cars. Basically, I think that they have policy in place. As a first, there's a different kind of emission level, like we call it emission 1, emission 2, emission 3. It's called 国标. So China has a phased schedule. First to scrappage, to retire all the emission level 1 vehicles. It's standard level 1, like Euro 1 cars, then Euro 2 cars, Euro 3. Now China, Beijing, they need all the cars on the road has to meet the Euro 6 standard. So China is to use the cash to sometimes the government to set up they use the Beijing Environmental Exchange, establish a platform, and so the older car owners, they can trade in. They can get paid. The government can pay you to retire your old cars. So that's how to phase out all the old cars. So to make sure the cars will not to become second car or circulate Of course, I think there's a problem for others like tier 2, tier 3 cities. They still can get hold of the the older cars from a tier city like Beijing. But there's still some leakage. People from tier 2, tier 3 cities, they can buy the older car, second car from tier 1. But in the big cities like Beijing and Shanghai, they pretty much take care of that problem. And I think I think that's a way to really to make sure that the dirty second-hand car will not recirculate on other places in other cities. So I hope that I gave the right answer to that question.
Yes, I think. Thank you very much for your response. However, this brings out a social dimension. Those who cannot afford a new car will never get a car then. So then this should be supplemented with good public transport systems as well.
Right.
So if we have actually run out of time, and this discussion has been very interesting and engaging, but I'm sure we don't have anything planned after this, and I would like to give the panel an opportunity to make a final statement. So I'd like to thank all of you for your participation and everything, but 30 seconds to each person on the panel to say what has been their major takeaway in this discussion, or in your area of work. What is your one main message? I'll start with Wenjing, please.
All right. I'm very happy today to have the chance to share you all the results of my research team, and hopefully we can participate in more sessions like this to share each other's results. And thank you again for your efforts. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We go to Mingbai now. Mingbai, your 30-second speech. I think he can't hear us, so let me go to Dr. An, because we are running over time.
Yeah, I think the cooling sector is a very important sector. So if we want to meet the Paris Agreement, I think we have to control the air conditioning pollutions.
Yes.
So we think that there's a lot of lessons can be learned from the project we are undertaking in Ningbo, and I'm very hopeful that we can scale up the license and tools we developed sponsored by ADB we can use for other cities in other Asian countries to adopt.
Yes, absolutely, especially in Asia, where most of the population lies in the warm and hot belts. Thank you. Yun?
Thank you, Strata. Very short thank you to all the speakers again. And we will continue to work with our Chinese partners to help improve the air quality and also to mitigate climate change. Thank you all.
Thank you. Mingbai?
Thank you.
Mingbai, I had typed the question to him, but yes, please.
Yes, sorry for the internet. For the last sentence, I would say that the project is going well, and NG welcome everyone come here. Let's have learn from each other and to make a very good progress or better future for the air improvement project. And there's a good relationship, corporate work between NG and the ADB. So let's work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Atsu, would you like to?
Thank you very much. Yeah, very quick. Yes. Yeah, but I fully agree with all the presenters and the panelists. So let's continue learning from each other. And we ADB is happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. With pleasure.
I would like to now wrap up the session by thanking everyone for sharing their thoughts and their excellent work. And all I can add to this conversation is that what we are seeing happening in China is an example for the rest of the world, of course, rest of Asia, and also for rest of the world. So truly, the importance of the work that you're doing is very, very high, because the rest of the world is going to learn from China. So with this, I'd like to end the session. by thanking all the panelists, the presenters, the scene setter, and also the technical support despite all the issues. Thank you, Ed and team, for this session. The session has ended. Thank you.